We have I'll entertain a motion to approve Resolution 2850, please.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Boda, Mr. Ireton, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. President
I have performed.
and council members. I had to continue that. So it pleases me a great deal to be able to read this resolution tonight. I know that it's a bit unusual that the mayor would read the resolution. Typically, the city administrator would do this. Julie, I hope you don't mind my stealing your thunder for a moment. I have a resolution that I want to read here tonight, but I'm going to immediately after that invite a couple of guests and friends that we have in the room up to talk a little bit about why we are adopting, or why the City Council is considering and adopting this resolution, and why the City of Salisbury is putting this forth. And we have a number of people in the room who are deeply engaged in this process. As many of you know, we are at, I think, one of what is, what could be considered many pivotal moments that our nation, our world have been in. And there are few things that are silver bullets for those challenges. And one of the things that I think many would argue is a quote-unquote silver bullet for the challenges that we face as a world, as a nation, and as a community, and even as an organization, are how we treat one another. It may not be everything, but it's certainly a beginning point. And the City of Salisbury is and has been engaged in the last couple of years in an effort, thanks to Ms. Grace Murdoch, an effort to work on how we treat one another. And we've been engaged on a kindness journey, I'll call it, thanks to Grace's leadership. And that kindness journey has found its way into our schools in Wicomico County. And I say that being fully aware that we have members of our Board of Education in the room. It has found its way into our neighborhoods, and through Random Acts of Kindness Week, it's found its way into our businesses, and our retirement communities, our assisted living facilities, and elsewhere. So this resolution is a part of a broader process that the City of Salisbury has begun to walk through, a process that was created by World Kindness Organization and its subsidiary, World Kindness USA. And I'll invite soon Mr. Michael Lloyd White to come to the podium and talk a little bit about that. But first I'm going to read if you don't mind, I'll read the resolution, and then we will pass the resolution around. This is resolution number 2850, a resolution of the City of Salisbury, Maryland, for the purpose of declaring support for a kinder world for our children to inherit. Whereas the Mayor and City Council are constantly seeking ways to improve the Salisbury community and have determined there is value in declaring ongoing support for international collaboration of all levels of government and its citizens to create kinder and peaceful societies for our children to ultimately inherit. And the City of Salisbury held its first Dance for Kindness in 2016, and the kindness climate has been expanding since then to include bike shares, marathons, youth centers, community gardens, kindness speeches, and several winners of kindness speeches right here in our community, and festivals, such that it is now time to make the city's kindness efforts official. And the City of Salisbury pledges ongoing support to World Kindness USA for its ambitious endeavors to encourage all of humanity, from classrooms to staff rooms and boardrooms, to those residing in the corridors of government, to seek kinder options in the resolution of all matters. And the City of Salisbury is undaunted by the challenges ahead and is unshakable in its belief that a kinder world will be realized sooner than later in the lifetimes of its current elected officials and its citizens. The City of Salisbury hopes that its support for World Kindness USA will contribute to inspiring all levels of government, business, and communities in all nations to connect in the spirit of goodwill through finding the courage to be kind. Now therefore be it resolved by the Council of the City of Salisbury with support from the Mayor in regular session on the 9th day of July 2018 that the City of Salisbury welcomes Chief Advisor to the Board of World Kindness USA, Michael Lloyd White of Australia, to our fair city to witness the signing of this resolution of support for World Kindness USA and all its endeavors to promote and establish kinder and more peaceful societies for future generations to inherit, which will enable the City of Salisbury, Maryland, to seek and attain the designation of a World Kindness City. And with that, we have a much prettier resolution to sign than usual, and we are going to have each council member sign this, and the council president, vice president, and clerk to sign the smaller copy. Make sure your pens work. Blue.
Blue. Blue.
That's the motion and second.
Did you say
Just
no?
passing the blue down.
Hi.
You want to vote? Can we?
Oh, you need to vote?
We need to vote
Yeah, you need to
first,
vote
if that's okay. Just to keep it official.
Yeah.
I may have
Otherwise,
signed
Mr.
some
Tillman will rise out of his chair. All right. Any questions, or we'll save the comments for later? Since there's no questions or comments, all those in favor of Resolution 2850, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Now we may pass the...
So as that's making its way around, and then I'll sign it, and then I think we can do a picture with the resolution. I'd like to invite a couple people forward. Can I have Mr. Michael Lloyd White and Ms. Grace Murdoch please come forward? If you'll stand here, I'll
Like that,
have
how about
Grace stand right over here if you wouldn't mind.
Is he sweating on it?
Yeah, please notice Ms. Murdoch's wonderful National Folk Festival scarf. So tonight, as the council passes and signs this resolution, as we sign it into effect, we are visited by the founder of the World Kindness Initiative, Michael Lloyd White, who has been in America for how many days now?
Been in Salisbury for less than 24
In Salisbury for less than 20. And you were briefly in
I
Annapolis
was in
before that.
Annapolis for the funeral services over the weekend, but I've been here, I think, for a week,
Okay, excellent.
traveling through.
Excellent. So I know you'll share more about the initiative and more about the World Kindness USA effort. And I know Grace can share more about our kindness efforts locally, but I want to do one other thing today. So I have taken it upon myself to create this certificate of appointment. This is an appointment appointing Grace Foxwell Murdoch as Secretary of Kindness for the City of Salisbury. In recognition of her exemplary service in helping Salisbury become a World Kindness City. The City of Salisbury compliments you, Ms. Murdoch, on your single-mindedness in attaining your goal to spread kindness and appreciates having you as an involved member of our community. So she made the effort to identify people, some of whom are in this room, as kindness ambassadors for our community. But nobody had acknowledged the fact that she's our kindness queen. So you are now our Secretary of Kindness.
Proud of Salisbury is what I want to say. Proud of the citizenry. Proud of my mayor for taking up the cause when I needed people on my side to do this for Wycomico County and Salisbury. Really, it's never been about me, it's about us, and I just want a kinder space for us, and I want it to go out into everywhere that we reach. And it is the time for kindness to be at the forefront. And we need to walk the walk, talk the talk, do it all. And Salisbury has done such a wonderful job with giving me support for my crazy ideas sometimes, and I'm so grateful, and there is more to come. So thank you so very much for this honor. Thank you. I'd love to introduce my Australian friend. Michael Lloyd White happened to land in Alexandria, Virginia last June, and I found him on social media. I knew about World Kindness because in my TEDx talk at the inaugural TEDx event in 2016, I referenced World Kindness had begun in Korea in 1997. No, Japan, sorry. And that kind of launched me on a mission to see where else it was going. So fast forward to finding many kindness groups on social media, and I found Michael Lloyd White, who was then the General Secretary of World Kindness. And I reached out to him. I went to meet him in Alexandria, Virginia, and that's where when my efforts started truly for Salisbury to become a World Kindness USA city. And he has been here for, as he said, less than 24 hours, and he does not disappoint when he talks about kindness. So I introduce you to my friend, Michael Lloyd White.
Thank you very much. Congratulations, Grace. It's an honour to be here and share this special moment with you. Thank you, council members and Mayor Day. This is significant. This is really significant. It goes without saying that we've hit a tipping point. And yes, I come from a land down under. But we have problems just the same. Ends up the same. Our country's known as the lucky country. Yet in the lucky country, we've got children, 12 years of age, deciding that this world is too lonely, too cruel, and too unkind, and they decide to leave it. Now, if that's not an early warning sign, the canary in the cage telling us there's something wrong with our culture, and we don't get that, then we're not listening. I want to just be really clear on this. One of the challenges that I've found in entering this space almost 10 years ago was the misconceptions of what kindness is. It's not about hearts and flowers and sugar and spice and all things nice. And I don't necessarily look like I'm going to be an advocate for kindness. What am I? I'm 6'2". I look like I used to play football or a CEO of a company. I'm the last sort of person you would expect to be up here talking about kindness. Kindness has been mistaken for weakness too often. It's been mistaken for being gender specific. And it's been removed from the agenda. You do a word search on any organisation, even the ones with the best of intent for the words kindness, you'll get 0 hits. You do a word search on the national curriculums of countries for the word kindness, you'll get 0 hits. And you've got to ask why. Has kindness become that inconvenient? Now, for those that may have a question and may think it's all warm and fluffy and think we don't have time for it, I want you to think about this. We often talk about what a kinder world looks like, and that's an easy option to think about. We all know what a kinder world would look like. I want you to think about for a moment, what would a world look like with 0 kindness? This is a world where there is no kindness in the community, therefore no community services, no first responders, no healthcare, no hospitals. This is a world where there is no kindness in a family. It is a world that has become all about self. Now, in this world, if you're unlucky enough to be born, how long do you think that child would survive? So I can tell you now, it would be left on the slab. And that means that as a species, in a world without kindness, we would cease to exist. It's an essential element to our survival. And what you've just done today And I take great pride in being able to repeat these words here because I've spoken about this in many countries around the world. And just to be clear, it is not my movement. I didn't start this movement. It has a history that goes back to 1963 when a country that was a defeated nation, that was post-nuclear, post-war, was inviting back former wartime enemies to its shores to host its largest peacetime event in its history. Japan was hosting the 1964 Tokyo Games, and there was a problem. Their culture had changed. This once honourable and proud people that respect and honour was right at the top of their agenda, found that Samaritans, good Samaritans, were being assaulted. Something had happened to their culture, and through their wisdom, they put kindness on their national agenda. They were the first country to do so, to welcome back to their shores former wartime enemies. And today, if you did not know your history, and you look at the relationship between the West and Japan, you couldn't possibly fathom that they were once mortal enemies. And if kindness was a part to play in that reconciliation, then it needs to be acknowledged, it needs to be spoken about because it has tremendous power. And this declaration you've signed today, I remind those people that are sceptical about politicians signing declarations. I remind those people that think it's just a photo opportunity, it's just a moment on a busy agenda. I remind them about a young nation that not that long ago signed a declaration that declared that all men are created equal. Now, things didn't get better. Things got a lot worse, but they eventually found its way into the laws of the land and into the hearts and minds of a nation, for the most part. Still a work in progress. But something unexpected happened. Found its way across the ocean to a farm in South Africa, to a young man called Nelson, and into the streets in India, to a law student called Gandhi, and to the streets of Chicago, to the son of a preacher called Martin. And that declaration that all men were created equal ignited a spark in them to be agents for positive change and adopt an unshakable belief that they would overcome, one man, through peaceful protest, would overcome the might of the British Empire's brutal injustices. That one man would sit in prison for 27 years with the ridiculous and unshakable belief that there would be an end to apartheid. And one man who had a dream. Who were they? Who was Abraham Lincoln before he was Abraham Lincoln? Who was Martin Luther King before he was Martin Luther King? Or Nelson Mandela or Gandhi? They were just people who had the courage of their convictions not to be bystanders, the courage to be kind. And you have to ask yourself today, who is Grace Foxwell Murdoch? Who are you? This is the moment that you need to seize and drive it. This is the step where you begin. You're already on our radar, on the international movement's radar. And quite possible you will be the first city to be listed by meeting the KPI. I've seen what you do. I've been following you and I'm super impressed. But here's the thing. Leadership is temporary. You have good ideas, you have good policies, you have good programs. Your successors will step in one day. And how do you know that they will continue? How do you know they don't want to leave their own legacy? The fact is that we all want to leave a legacy. We get that. At worst, they may ignore it or rescind it. But if you embed it into your culture, it will influence leaders of tomorrow. It will influence them so they're not going to be brought up in a world that is all about self. And this declaration, my hope is, will find its way to a classroom in Pakistan to a young girl called Malala. And there are people here in Salisbury that can inspire. And I want to thank you, Mayor Day. I want to thank you, Council, for your time that you've granted today. I know I've probably gone spoken over time, but I am incredibly grateful to know that my journey has brought me here. So thank you very much, and I'm looking forward to the next few days.
I think I speak for all of us when I say, can you come back to every meeting? This is great. I could do this all night, and we could talk about this all night. And in fact, I think you're going to be at Hoppers? At Hoppers after this, and you can go talk more about our kindness initiatives locally, globally, and tomorrow night at Acorn Market for dinner at 5 to 6:30. Light appetizers, but all are welcome. All at home are welcome as well. We do have one other thing that we want to do tonight. We have, we're incredibly grateful for your visit, for you taking the time to be with us, and we want to leave you. We want to send you out of here when you have to go, wearing Salisbury gear. So, and we know we're not the only city that will be graced by your visit, but we want to make sure you got plenty of Salisbury gear. So we've got a little gift for you.
Wow. Well, thank you.
Of course, absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Now, can we get a picture with council and myself? Can we get a picture? Let's do it.
Behind? Doesn't matter, whatever you prefer. Behind. Come on out.
No. A paint. Doing that, Harvey. Hold on.
Wait a minute.
Get the water out of the way.
Ready? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Done.
Wonderful. Thank you, everyone.
Congratulations.
Wait a minute, my feet.